As I mentioned to you, I was in Queensland last week. My apologies for being absent, but I was doing some Anzac Day stuff and talking to farmers. More about that today and tomorrow. But overwhelmingly, I was inundated by people asking me about this wretched voice. Now, may I say at the outset, it is no use being fatigued and switching off. I know there's a heap of repetition about this issue, but we're going to have to be involved. 10 years ago, it would have been impossible to believe that we'd be talking about such stuff. Yet we're now being belted over the head by two arguments. One, the voice is a simple, necessary, long overdue adjustment of the Constitution, just bringing the past into line with the present. That is rubbish. And the second point, well, if you dare to argue against and proclaim you're voting no, watch the language and vilification and abuse pour forth. More of that later. Let me be blunt. It is the no case which is not racist. It's the yes case that's wanting to introduce a race-based change to the Constitution. And don't be sucked in by some so-called legal advice. For example, the Solicitor General describes the proposed voice as an enhancement to our democracy. That's not a legal comment. It's a political comment. The New South Wales Bar Association has issued public support for the Indigenous Voice model, prompting the Senior Counsel, Clive Stern, to lash out at the Bar Council for virtually claiming it has a mandate from its members to support the voice. It has none. As Clive Stern SC asks, did the Bar Council obtain its own independent legal advice as to the constitutional implications in relation to possible challenges by the voice to the High Court? But look, I'm saying to you, forget constitutional challenges and all that stuff. Forget all this high-minded legal talk. This so-called voice will be unelected. There'll be 24 Indigenous people chosen. No one knows by whom. No one knows whether they'll be paid. No one knows how much they'll be paid. 24 of them. A third arm of government. In this way, one group of Australians, fewer than 4%, have a second voice. We already have 11 voices in the federal parliament, Indigenous voices, and the number of registered corporations by regions in Australia, Aboriginal corporations, 3,352. As my old man would say, how many bloody voices do you want? The Prime Minister has an Indigenous Advisory Council. There are more than 30 land councils. There's a so-called Council of Peaks representing 70 Aboriginal organisations, but 3,352 registered Aboriginal corporations. You help fund them. The Aboriginal population is officially 3.8% of the Australian population. 11 Aboriginal MPs in Parliament represent 4.8% of the Parliament. So put bluntly, again, the Indigenous population is overrepresented. Yet now they want another voice.